The grand hall of the Alverian court shimmered with crystalline light as ambassadors from 17 star systems gathered for the Unity Summit. Princess Kira stood at the center podium, her silver scales catching the light like diamonds. She had waited 12 years for this moment. Her father, King Valen, addressed the assembly with the practiced ease of a monarch who had ruled for 3 centuries. Beside him sat representatives from the most powerful civilizations in the known galaxy, the Theron Collective, the Mantis Hives, the Aquarian Depths, and others whose ships could reduce planets to ash. Conspicuously absent from the front rows were the humans. They sat in the back, as always, a small delegation of 3. Earth was still considered a fringe world, barely worthy of notice. Their technology lagged behind by generations. Their military was laughable compared to the grand fleets. Their representative, a middle-aged woman named Director Hayes, watched the proceedings with patient eyes. Kira's hands trembled as she clutched her prepared speech. She had argued with her father for months to be allowed this platform. He had finally relented, thinking she would speak about trade agreements or cultural exchange. He had no idea what was coming. The king finished his opening remarks and gestured to his daughter. The hall fell silent as Kira approached the central speaking sphere, a device that would amplify her words to every corner of the chamber and broadcast them across the attending fleet's dot. She took a breath and began. Honored guests, I stand before you not as a princess of Alveria, but as someone whose life was saved by an act of courage that defied everything we thought we knew about the galaxy. Her voice rang clear and strong. 12 years ago, I was taken. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The king's eyes widened. This was not the speech they had discussed. Kira continued. I was 7 years old when raiders from the Keth Empire attacked our summer palace. They killed my guards. They killed my attendants. They put me in chains and dragged me onto their ship. I was to be sold to the highest bidder, a trophy to be displayed by whoever wanted leverage over the Alverian throne. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. Many in the room knew of the incident, but the details had been suppressed. It was an embarrassment to Alverian security, a black mark on their military reputation. The Keth ship was intercepted 3 days into their escape, but not by Alverian forces, not by the Theron Armada, not by any of the so-called great powers who claimed to protect the innocent. Her eyes swept the room. It was intercepted by a single human cargo ship, a battered old transport called the Wandering Star. The human delegation sat up straighter. Director Hayes' expression shifted from polite attention to surprise. The captain of that ship was named Jack Reeves. He was hauling mining equipment to the outer colonies. He had a crew of 4. His ship had no weapons beyond a single defensive cannon meant for asteroid clearing. He received the Keth vessel's distress beacon, the fake one they broadcasted to lure good Samaritans into ambush, and he went to investigate. Kira's voice grew stronger. When he realized what he had found, when he saw that Keth warship with its weapons and its crew of 40 trained killers, do you know what he did? He could have run. He could have reported it and hoped someone else would respond. Instead, he sent his crew away in the escape pod, and he rammed his ship into the Keth engine bay. The hall erupted in shocked whispers. Even the stoic Theron representatives showed surprise on their crystalline faces. The collision crippled both ships. Jack Reeves, this human cargo captain with no military training, fought his way through the Keth ship with nothing but a mining plasma torch and a titanium pipe. He killed or incapacitated 17 raiders. He found me in the holding cell, terrified and alone. He carried me back to his destroyed ship, activated the emergency beacon, and kept me safe in the wreckage for 6 hours until Alverian forces finally arrived. Kira's eyes found the human delegation. They were staring at her with intense focus now. I never got to thank him properly. I was rushed to medical care. He was debriefed by our military and sent home. My father awarded him a medal in a private ceremony. We gave him compensation for his ship, and then we let him disappear back into the vastness of space, back to his ordinary life, because we were embarrassed that a human, a member of a species we barely acknowledged, had succeeded where our great military had failed. The king's face had gone pale. He began to rise from his throne, but Kira pressed on. For 12 years, I have searched for Jack Reeves. I have used every resource available to me. I have contacted Earth authorities, hired investigators, sent messages to every human colony. I found his crew members. I found his family. But I could not find him. Until 3 weeks ago. She pulled a small holographic projector from her robes and activated it. An image appeared above the podium. A middle-aged human man with graying hair and laugh lines around his eyes. He stood in front of a modest apartment building, wearing simple work clothes. Jack Reeves is a maintenance supervisor at a water treatment facility on Earth. He lives alone in a small apartment. He works 60 hours a week. He has nothing to show for his heroism, except a medal he keeps in a drawer and a letter from my father that hangs in a cheap frame on his wall. Kira's voice cracked slightly, but she steadied herself. I asked him why he did it, why he risked everything for a child he didn't know, from a species that treated his people as irrelevant. Do you know what he told me? The hall was utterly silent now. He said, because I could. Because she was a kid who needed help. What kind of person would I be if I looked away? Kira let those words hang in the air. She looked at the assembled representatives, at the beings from civilizations that commanded vast fleets and wielded terrible power. We sit here in our grand halls. We speak of honor and duty and the responsibilities of the powerful. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have ships that can cross galaxies. We have technology that seems like magic. And yet, when a child needed saving, it was not our mighty armadas that answered. It was one human in one broken ship who decided that doing the right thing mattered more than surviving. She turned to face her father directly. We have built a galaxy where power is respected and weakness is scorned, where Earth is dismissed because their ships are slow and their weapons are primitive. But I tell you now, after seeing the truth with my own eyes, humanity has something that all our advanced civilizations have lost. They still believe that one person can make a difference. They still act when others calculate odds. They still fight when fighting seems pointless. Kira looked back at the assembly. This is not a speech about trade or treaties. This is a recognition 12 years overdue. Jack Reeves saved my life with nothing but courage and a refusal to look away. And if one ordinary human can do that, then perhaps we have gravely underestimated what humanity as a whole is capable of. She stepped back from the speaking sphere. The hall remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the Theran representative stood. His crystalline hand moved to his chest in a gesture of respect. One by one, others began to stand. The Mantis ambassador clicked her mandibles in approval. Even the proud Aquarians rose from their seats. Director Hayes stood with tears streaming down her face. She pressed her hand to her heart and bowed to the princess. The king remained seated, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke, his voice carried through the hall by the amplification field. It seems my daughter has taught this assembly a lesson I should have learned years ago. Strength is not measured solely in weapons or ships. Perhaps it is time we reconsider many of our assumptions. He stood and addressed the human delegation directly. I formally invite Earth to take a seat among the primary members of this council. And I ask that Captain Jack Reeves be brought here, so that the gratitude of a father and a civilization can be properly expressed. The hall erupted in discussion. Some representatives objected. Others nodded in agreement. But the balance had shifted. In one speech, Princess Kira had changed the conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy dot as the session adjourned. Kira made her way to Director Hayes. The older woman embraced her without hesitation, without the formal protocols usually required. "We'll bring him here," Hayes said quietly. "Jack will be stubborn about it, but we'll make sure he comes. He deserves to see this." Kira smiled, feeling a weight lift from her chest. "Tell him I just want to say thank you. Everything else is secondary." "He'll understand," Hayes replied. That's exactly the kind of thing Jack would say. As the delegates filed out and the grand hall slowly emptied, Kira stood alone for a moment, looking at the hologram of her rescuer still floating above the podium. The ordinary man who had done an extraordinary thing. The human who had reminded an entire galaxy what courage truly meant. She whispered into the empty air, "Thank you, Jack Reeves, for saving me, and for showing us who we should aspire to be."